Spent Thanksgiving week in Mason County at the edge of the Texas Hill Country. This gorgeous ranch is literally the last property at the end of the dirt road. I made it in time for an evening hunt. The stand overlooks a creek and a beautiful cliff where you can hear a waterfall rippling in the distance. Nothing showed up this evening, but the stink bug kept me entertained for a good 30 minutes. The next morning was incredibly windy, and I definitely brought the wrong weapon. These hogs showed up 10 minutes after being dropped off. If I would have brought one of my thermal weapon systems, I'd already have a hog down on the ground. Looking through my day scope, it was too dark to take a shot. I was hoping they would stick around for about 10 minutes, but that didn't happen. This blind is on one of the highest points of the property. No words can truly grasp the beauty of this land. I could hear turkeys gobbling in the distance and cows passing within 100 yards. This spike kept me entertained for a good 15 to 20 minutes, wandering in and out of the area. This would be a no-buck weekend. I walked down to my pickup area and came across an area the hogs have completely rented up for a good 100 yards. After a hearty breakfast, the family had to do some feeder work and take care of the cattle. We walked down to the creek trying to locate a missing cow. Mid-afternoon, a group of beautiful gobblers showed up. That evening, I decided to hunt on the opposite side of the creek. The wind was wrong for me to sit in the blinds, so I planted myself in the brush and just waited. Unfortunately, nothing showed up. The next morning, I convinced Megan to be my second gunner for the group of hogs that showed up the day prior. I was confident the sounder would return. 30 minutes before sunlight, the Sinai Solo boar appeared. Megan would be using a 6.5 Grendel, a Fleur 736 Thermosight Pro, and the new 118 grain hammer HHT bullet. I would be using a 27 Creedmoor AI with the Halo X35 and the 116 grain Absolute hammer bullet. We'll pick up the action from here. We knew we both missed due to the hog's reaction. In slow motion, Megan missed slightly low. Though my aim looked good, once the sun came up, I discovered my thermal mount had worked itself loose, so this will be my excuse. Both Megan and I heard a sounder just about the same time they came in yesterday, but they never came in. When I looked for the hog, I realized the wind was flat and they probably scented us. I did find a massive wallow in the area the hog had been rubbing at the beginning of the hunt. Due to everyone's schedule, we would celebrate Thanksgiving on Wednesday. We had a juicy deep-fried turkey and all the traditional fixings. As soon as we were done eating, Megan dropped me off for a hunt, which was useless because I was completely wiped out from the Thanksgiving feast. If something showed up, I honestly would not have been able to tell you. Megan was hunting a few hundred yards away from me. I heard her crack off around an hour before sunset. About 30 minutes later, she would send another round, 2 hogs down. Late that evening, I did notice hogs up by the blind I just hunted a few hours ago. These hogs' thermal image is at about 550 yards. That evening, I told the family I would sleep in the blind since I saw the hogs the night prior. I set up a mobile game cam to wake me up just in case the hogs showed up while I was sleeping. There was a Jack Daniel cake that was in short offal, and I used this as hog bait. After the sunset, these raccoons came out to feed. They seemed to love the Jack Daniel cake. This young coyote pup showed up. I thought about taking it, but it was so early in the evening I didn't want to spook any nearby hogs. He slowly worked into the area. The young raccoons quickly scurried off. The coyote got out of visual range but then came back. I couldn't wait to see what drama would unfold. Side note, it's a full moon and no doubt these two can see each other at this range. The coyote now is feasting on the Jack Daniel cake I dropped off earlier. I love seeing the raccoons inflate their size and stand their ground. Around 9:30 p.m., I could hear something big tripping over rocks. I booted up my Fleur 736 Thermosight Pro, mounted onto my 6.5 Grendel. The new 118 grain hammer HHT anchored this boar with his janky front right leg. It had me wondering if this is the hog Megan and I shot the day prior. The boar expired within 30 seconds. My game cam woke me up around 12:50 a.m. I'm glad I brought it now because I seriously dozed off. I booted up my Halo X35 mounted onto my 22 Creedmoor AI, running the new 74 grain hammer HHT bullet. The hogs were getting drunk off the Jack Daniel cake. Let's watch this again in slow motion, particularly this hog. Secondary shot was probably not necessary, but my crosshair was on him. At dawn, a young doe walked in and wasn't too fond of all these dead hogs in the neighborhood. The first boar taped in at 190 pounds. The entry point was nominal and actually difficult to find. The exit measured 3/4 to 1 inch. The second bore taped in at 195 pounds. The entry point was what you'd expect out of a .224 caliber bullet. This was a really fatty bore. I peeled behind the hide on the exit side and measured to be a good inch to inch and a half. On the hide, the blood clotted up on the exit side, covering up the exit wound. I peeled the back strap out of both bores. I'm using this as supplement for dog food since it's so expensive now. For my final hunt of the week, I hunted a new blind that is mid-mountain. It has an incredible overview of the property and the valley below. 15 minutes after Megan dropped me off, these deer showed up at roughly 100 yards. I would be using a Savage Axis 2 280 AI with a 140 grain absolute hammer bullet. Unfortunately, my rifle jumped out of the side shop scope mount when my rifle recoiled. As you can see, the deer went down at maybe 5 yards. The entry point destroyed 3 ribs and separated the spine. The exit wound clipped 1 rib and left a 3/4 inch symmetrical exit. About an hour later, Megan would drop her doe. Saturday morning would happen fast. We butchered a deer before everyone had to depart. No one was sure the cat made it back into the barn. I thought I saw a set of eyes on the second story. To calm everyone's conscience, including my own, I found Caretaker in his secret hiding place.
Bye, kitty kitty.
This was an awesome Thanksgiving week in the hill country of Texas. I am thankful to the landowner for a lifetime of memories on one of the most beautiful cuts of land I've ever hunted. Stay tuned for my next adventure.